but I can mention the first name. So the first stories are going to be a journey of two moms, one by birth and another by adoption, who are connected and blessed by their love for a boy named Jason. So Kimberly, who's going to go first? So Camille's going to go first, and you'll introduce.
Thank you. My name's Camille, and I'm so thrilled to be here. And I'm just learning about Brazil for Life. And I'm. Oh, is this quiet? Okay. Can you guys hear me? Okay. So I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm thrilled about the ministry of Brazil for Life for many reasons, but one is because I'm an adoptive mom, and I am going to cry. I'm just going to lie. But God has blessed us so much through adoption, and soon you'll see partly why. Okay. Okay. So after being married for 10 years, we realized we couldn't have children naturally, so we began investigating adoption. We talked to a lot of people, and then we finally found a family who adopted several children from the foster system. Their story really touched us, and we were thrilled when their mom offered to mentor us through the process. It was such a blessing, because it's a very confusing and complicated world. So we chose the path of foster to adopt. Our goal was to be the only foster family and hopefully the forever family for 2 children. Children in foster care often get bounced from family to family, and we wanted the child who came to us to be the only place he went, or she went. That was our mission, that was our prayer, that was our goal. Like most adoptive parents, I had anxieties about the process. Foster parent training helped us understand what was ahead, and I also did a lot of research, and my fears lessened as my passion grew for the children that God was hopefully leading to us. And then finally, the phone rang. We were given the details about a 5-month-old boy at Loyola Hospital, and could we pick him up tomorrow? Yes, we were kind of shocked. And our day was actually very packed that day, but we said, we've been waiting for this for so long. So we made it happen. We went to Target. We bought a car seat, diapers, baby things. My sister got us a crib, and my mother-in-law got us a stroller. So we were ready. We had 24 hours. And then finally, we got to Loyola Hospital, and we met Jaden. And I have to say, it was love at first sight. But he was a foster child, so we had to, keep things in perspective, okay? So I'll never forget that ride home from Loyola that night. Jaden and I sat in the back seat, and he kept staring at me and looking around, and I'm sure he was saying to himself, who is this woman? And why am I here? Remember, he was 5 months old. As I took in the moment, I remember thinking, I have no idea what is next. But I'm all in. I'm ready to do and provide whatever Jaden needs to have a normal, healthy, happy, and love-filled life. And when I say I mean my husband and I, but I talk in the first person. So, a few days later, Jaden's social worker let us know we were required to bring Jaden to the adoption agency for weekly visits with his 18-year-old birth mom. I have to admit, I was anxious. But when we met her, I had other thoughts. First of all, she was so young. Secondly, very pretty. And third, she had braces. I didn't expect that. That was a surprise. Indeed, Kristen was very nice, and I could not help but like her. We would visit week after week, and Jaden always enjoyed their visits. Over time, we could tell, even though he enjoyed his visits, he was becoming more and more comfortable in our home. We prayed for Kristen regularly and asked God to work things out for Jaden and his birth mom. The state gave her the opportunity to take Jaden home after completing lengthy classes and requirements, and we respected the process, though we prayed that she would initiate adoption, not the state, if that was to happen. We never wanted to feel like we took somebody's child away. Over time, visits went from weekly to bi-monthly. With each day, we grew closer and bonded more with Jaden. And then one day, Kristen asked us if we wanted to adopt him. And we could not believe it. It was like, our prayer was answered, and we didn't see it coming, you know? And so we were so thankful for this extraordinary gift from God. And indeed, we adopted Jaden. And just a side note, we always tell people that Jaden was adopted. He is not, some people say, is he adopted? No, he's now our son, but there was an event that he was adopted. And I tell people that, so if you ever talk to adopted people, even I just said it, that's not their state, that was an event. So just a side note, I like to share that. Since the moment we met Jaden, our family journey has been amazing, but not always easy. God's hand, though, was evident throughout the whole thing. And surprisingly for me, God also blessed us with a great relationship with Jaden's birth mom, Kristen. Which reminds me, even before Jaden could talk, we would tell him things like, you know, you have two moms and you have two families, and we would just talk about it, and he couldn't really talk, but we wanted it to feel normal right from the start. So one day, when he was older and could talk, he said to me, "Hey Mom, does that boy only have one mom?" And I said, "Yeah, he only has one mom." And he's like, "Oh, that's so sad. I wish he had two moms like me." So it was so normal to him and to us, and we felt that mindset was a blessing because it didn't feel something bad; it felt like something good. Then after the adoption was finalized, we continued to occasionally visit with Kristen. We believe that the more Jaden knows her and has memories and photos of being with her, the more at peace he will be with that part of his journey. We also hoped our open relationship would be a blessing to Kristen, and we continued to pray for her regularly. I found it interesting that when Jaden, in the first year, when he would talk about Kristen, he often would ask me, "Mom, can Kristen come live with us?" So he always said that, and I'd say, "Well, do you want to go live with her?" And he'd be like, "No, I want her to live with us." So it was interesting, like the journey, you know, and it just, God was over the whole thing, even though there was one other piece of this. When people say, "Oh, there's a gotcha day, this and that," I'm sure you've heard this. We say that's a happy, sad day, because we're happy we have this beautiful boy, but it was a sad day. He lost his family. So we don't celebrate Gotcha Day like, oh,
That's good.
oh my gosh. That's my little science gotcha. I can't believe So I tell you, God is all over this. But that's the Gotcha Day. We call it a happy, sad day, and we try to honor the pain, but we also try to honor the joy. So that's just how we see it. Now every family is different. So let's see. I'm almost done. So at one point, and Jaden, we still visit Kristen. We're seeing her next weekend, and Jaden can't wait. He's just so excited to see her, and he loves it. And but he also knows he likes his home. So it's a very interesting mix of blessing. So at one point, when Jaden had been with us for a while, I looked up his name in the Bible and learned that Jaden actually is a name in the Bible. He was one of the people who helped Nehemiah build the wall around Jerusalem. And I was surprised by that. And I thought, that's very cool. And then I thought, what does his name mean? Because Kristen named him Jaden. And I didn't want to change it. That was his who he knew he was. And so I looked it up. It has a couple meanings, but one of them is the Lord has heard. And I waited for a child for over 10 years, and his name is the Lord has heard. And I just took it like, okay, God, I got it. You're in this again. Okay, this is awesome. So now, it doesn't mean it was a cakewalk, but the whole thing, God was evident. So now I would like to pass the mic to Kristen, and you will find she is so precious, and I'm so lucky to have her in my life.
Thank you, Camille. So I used to get really, really nervous on the mic. I kind of still am. And then my pastor's wife brought me onto our praise and worship team and said, "Here you go." So God reminded me that everything that we do is for His glory. It's actually written on the top of my notes that everything is for His glory. And that's not the thought that I had then. You know, I wasn't even a Christian when I named him Jaden, so I didn't even know that that's what his name meant until she told me. I went, "Oh, I never thought about that. Oh, that's amazing." So, you know, I can't guarantee that I won't cry. She already started it, and she gave me tissues. When I found out I was pregnant, I was really wrong. I was actually still 17. I was a senior. Sorry, I'm gonna keep it this way. I was a senior in high school, and I remember the clearest thought in my mind after the tears subsided was that I was going to do better. I will do better and do everything I can to give this child a better life than I had. And the thought of adoption was barely even a thought. But his father and I decided that we were going to keep the baby. And I was so scared to tell my dad. The relationship that I have with my dad now is great. But then a little rocky. I was a teenager after all. I was so scared though that I moved all of my stuff out of the house before I even told him. And when I did tell him, I never came back home. I moved directly in with my boyfriend at the time's family, and they were really supportive, and it was nice to not feel like I was doing something bad all the time. But I finished high school, graduated high school at five months pregnant, and that August I gave birth to this beautiful little boy. I was content and happy to be a new mom. I loved it. I felt complete. But tensions in our house were really, really high. His dad and I kept on fighting, and it kept on getting worse when I went back to work. I was waiting tables overnight, and I was told by his mom that he would cry all night long while I was gone. And I was starting to suspect that something was wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I was really blinded by love. I was one of my biggest fears though was raising him alone. So I didn't even put the thought in my mind that I was leaving or that I had that choice. Soon though, I discovered something worse than that, and my son kept on turning up with injuries, and my normally happy baby stopped jumping around in my lap and smiling at me. And the doctors and I were trying to figure out the cause to this, and one afternoon he got hurt badly enough to end up in the burn unit at Loyola Hospital. And after being with him in the hospital for nearly 3 weeks, we were told we had to leave, and our family was banned from the hospital, and we were put under investigation. His dad eventually pled guilty to aggravated battery of a child. I knew I was going to cry right here, because that was my dad. And when I was a mom, I feel like a failure for not being able to do that. I was so mad at myself for not seeing the signs of abuse. And my son went home that week from the hospital, but it wasn't with me. And I was terrified that I was never going to see him again. I did everything that the court asked me to fight to get him back. I was in parenting classes, Al-Anon, therapy, and I had supervision from the court, all while moving out of his dad's house and on my own, working 2 jobs at 18 years old. Eventually, I realized I didn't want to drag this little boy through all the struggles that I was going through. He already had a warm, safe home with Camille and Jeff, and he called her mom too, and even though that broke my heart, I felt that. I saw her as mom, and I got to know them and saw them as parents to him. And I thought about the stability that they were providing for him, and I remembered back to my first thoughts that I would do everything in my power to give this child a better life than I had. So I signed those papers. And I'm thankful to have been able to watch this little boy grow and flourish into this awesome young man. I feel away from being an adult. Can you believe it? I can't. It's unreal. To see some of my features on this baby's face is no. But to see the strength and kindness that was instilled by Camille and Jeff, see the opportunities he now has, the things that he enjoys doing in life. And we've all grown so much by the grace of God, because God is good. I finally found God. My husband, he wasn't a husband yet, brought me to church with him, and I fell in love. I got married, thought that would never happen. I have another son, and now a little daughter. My husband and I got baptized in Jesus' name.
At Brazil for Life, we believe that every single life matters. We believe that motherhood is sacred and that life is a gift, not a right. Help us to keep mothers and children together, alive and well, no matter the circumstances. Thank you so very much for your donation.